Towergate Wilsons, providing kit, home contents and personal accident insurance to the British Army for over 60 years. For the latest money-saving offers, call 0116 240 7733.
Josette, thank you. I'm joined by Lieutenant Colonel Rob Thomson, who took over as CO just before their recent Afghanistan stint. Colonel, you're just recently returned from Afghanistan. Is it good to be back home?
Yes, it's absolutely brilliant to be back home, and it's wonderful to be reunited with our families and friends, but it's a bittersweet return, of course, because we come home leaving 14 of our number left who were killed in action back in Afghanistan, and our hearts are with those families very much at this difficult time, because they see their husbands and their sons, colleagues come home, and of course their loved one is not returning.
You mentioned about the losses that you suffered during the tour. How difficult is it to keep the morale going during the tour?
Well, we knew we were doing important work in Sangin, so that was the first thing that was essential for us, to know that there was real purpose to our work. And we're a very tight battalion. Everybody looks after the man and the rifleman to their left and to their right, up and down the chain of command. And so whilst we feel very keenly the losses that we have sustained, there was no hesitation. The boys were back on the ramparts straight after those losses. They were back out on patrol on succeeding days, and it is a tribute to their courage that they could do that day in, day out.
What would you say was the biggest achievement during the tour?
I think the most important thing for us was to be able to begin to swing the fight back against the enemy. We were able to remove 6 IED teams who were laying IED teams in Sangin and remove them permanently from the battlefield, and that was a significant step forward in beginning to break down the network in Sangin that has been laying these dreadful IEDs.
Now, you also had an important role in supporting the Afghan National Army and the Afghan National Police. There's obviously been some criticism about how people are vetted into these services. What would your response be to this criticism? How important is it to keep up the work?
The Afghan National Security Forces are utterly important to the work we're doing in Afghanistan. They are going to be responsible long term for the security of their country. Where we worked in Sangin, and that is all I'm qualified to speak on, the ANA battalion up there was second to none. Their leader, Colonel Rob Thomson, was a fantastic battle partner who I worked with day in, day out. And the Chief of Police at our end, whilst not as strong as some of our own Chiefs of Police in our country, was a man who was committed to the cause, and we were able to increase the numbers of police as well as increase their footprint within Sangin to the betterment of the people of that town.
Now, how important is the reconstruction role in order to build up the hearts and minds of the Afghans in comparison to fighting against the Taliban?
It's all one campaign. It not matters whether you're delivering security or you're delivering stabilisation or delivering reconstruction. It's all about the same purpose, making life for the people of Sangin a better life, and therefore we who provided security did that explicitly to enable reconstruction to take place and to allow the government of Afghanistan to go about its business on a more effective way on a daily basis.
Now, the media constantly criticise the equipment our troops have on operations. How effective do you think the equipment in theatre is, and what changes in equipment have you seen during this tour and previous tours as well?
We were the best equipped brigade which deployed to Afghanistan. Full stop. I mean, that is a fact. So we went with better equipment than anybody else has been to Afghanistan before, and that was really important. And of course, we continue to adjust. Weight will reduce on some of the heavier equipment. Some of the technical equipment becomes more able to deal with some of the IDs, and it's important that we keep pressing forward on the technical side to make sure that we develop the best means for each one of our riflemen to take the fight to the enemy.
Just finally then, how important is it for the soldiers to feel there is a support back home, both from their families and also the general public?
We were overwhelmed by the support we received in Sangin, and we didn't really understand how much support there was out there amongst the people of this nation until we marched through Croydon and then we marched through Liverpool, and people in their thousands turned out to salute the work of my riflemen and to cheer them on. And it was hugely moving as we marched through Liverpool to see Rifleman Richardson and Corporal Cox, both on crutches, both wounded, one by an ID and one by a gunshot wound, carrying the march through. They followed that parade up, slipping further and further behind because they couldn't keep up, but they made that 1.5 mile route on their crutches, utterly proud of what they had done and keen to finish with their mates who had come back uninjured.
Lieutenant Colonel Rob Thomson of 2 Rifles, thank you for joining us today on Army TV. From here at Headquarters Land Forces in Wilton, back to you, Josette.